Hi, hello, I'm here. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into the In Trive Talks. My name is Ciera Payton, and I am the host of this awesome podcast that highlights the inspired, thriving tribe. And we do that by amplifying creative voices, people in the creative industry, and we just love to share their stories, hear all about their journeys, in hopes to help you along your creative and artistic journey. And so today's very, very special guest is someone who I just adore so very much. He actually had me in one of his music videos years ago when I was a little baby Ciera. So I'm so excited to bring him on today. But before I do, he's in the waiting room right now. So I am going to go ahead and just introduce him, let you all know a little bit more about him. All right, so here we go. All right, so James Ian. He is a singer, songwriter, instrumentalist, actor, model, and writer. He has spinal muscular atrophy, SMA, type 3, and is a passionate advocate for authentic representation of disabled artists in music, TV, film, and other media. He is a singer and primary songwriter of Spaces, which is a first of its kind song that highlights those living with SMA. All right, now please do me a big favor, stop what you're doing, turn off any little distractions, and help me in welcoming Mr. James Ian. All right, let me let him in. Hi, can you hear me?
I can, yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. All right.
You changed your hair. I saw that you were rocking the
I was
the
rocking.
Both look good, but I like the braids. Those are cool.
Thanks. I actually just got my hair done yesterday. So,
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen you with it before. And I was like, oh yeah, I like this.
Dude, I loved it. I actually understand what it's like being a man now, because I literally would just wake up in the morning and not have to do anything to my hair.
It's like good to go.
Yeah, and so now it's just like, oh my God, I gotta style it, I gotta comb it, I gotta, I'm just like. Well, we're just gonna dive on in. Thank you so much for stopping by and being a part of the In Trive. Like I told you before, this is the In Trive stands for the Inspired Thriving Tribe, and it's just all about amplifying and highlighting, creators, creative people, everyday creative heroes, and you are no different from that bunch. And so, thank you so much for stopping by. I so appreciate it.
Thank you. Same to you, Ciera. You are one of those as well. So
awesome. Thanks. So I just like to just dive in with a little bit of icebreakers, just so
Sure.
people can get to know a little bit more about you. And look, I just love astrology. I am not an astrologer or zodiacer, or even if that's a word, I don't know. But I just love talking zodiac sometimes. So do you know what your big 3 signs are? Your moon, rising, and sun sign?
I don't. I just know that I'm a Cancer, but I don't know. I don't know those things. But it's funny. I actually used to be into that, and I used to like check my horoscope daily, but I can't remember what they are. So
Okay, all right. I'm just curious because it's always just fun to kind of dissect it a little bit, to
yeah,
kind of hear like what rings true for you and what
yeah,
doesn't. And so you're a Cancer, you said.
yep,
When's your
yep.
birthday?
July 21st. So it's Friday.
Oh my gosh. Wow, that's crazy. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you so
So,
much. Appreciate
so
it.
I'm just curious, what are some things that people say about cancers, or that you've read about cancers, that ring true for you or don't?
Yeah, definitely. I think personally, it rings the characteristics ring true to me. But I've also had people tell me like cancers are supposed to be creative. I'm like a 3 sign. I do know that. That's like my number. So like very creative. That's true for me. Very like empathetic.
Mm,
That's also I feel like very true for me, and people say that. And then also too, there is like a sensitivity, like you might not outwardly show, say someone says something that kind of rubs you the wrong way. You may not outwardly show it, but
mhm.
you might internalize that for a while. And I think that's also probably true.
Yeah.
So, and I definitely think that, like, it's not like in a big way, but like for sure, like, I can be like maybe, hurt a little bit and then I'll just kind of like keep it to myself and I'll be thinking about it.
I love that. Yeah, I have read that cancers can be a little sensitive. That's something
Yes,
I read,
yes,
right?
yes,
So,
for sure. So, there was a time in my life I wouldn't admit that, but as I get older, transparency is good. So,
yeah, well, my dad is a cancer, so I
awesome,
I just I have a soft spot in my heart for cancers because
awesome.
you guys are awesome.
Does he exhibit the same?
He
Do you think he's
does.
a cancer?
Yeah, he's very like I know he can brew on stuff, but he's like very mild tempered. Like he doesn't lose
Yeah,
his cool, but I know like
yeah,
if something's like bothering him, you know what I mean?
right, right.
Like, oh, okay, dad, So,
Yeah, I think that's honestly the same for me, Sierra. Like, I keep it cool like pretty much all the time, but like, you can, like you said, it's simmering a little bit and like, it'll probably show on my face, you know what I mean? So, like your dad.
yeah, yeah. But good people, I love me some cancers. Y'all are some really, really
Awesome, awesome.
cool, creative people.
Yep.
Y'all control the tide. You're the moon sign. So,
Exactly, exactly. And I do love water. Like I am like a water person for sure. And
Yeah.
that is also a cancer thing as well. So,
Makes sense. Makes
yep,
sense. And
yep.
so, with that said, where are you from originally? Did you grow up near the beach?
No, I actually grew up in Southern Maryland, so
Okay.
we had like the Potomac River was near us and like stuff like that, but the beach was like a few hours away, so did not unfortunately grow up near the beach.
Okay. So, okay, from Maryland, we're getting more background, just getting a
Yeah.
little more like about Mr. James Ian over here. What was it like growing up in Maryland and, what was your parents' occupation? Just how did all of that come to be? What shaped you growing up? I know I just
Yeah.
asked you 100 questions, but I'm just so curious. So,
No, 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 thank you. So I grew up in a very rural setting, like I was outside as a kid all the time. Like there's like woods behind my house, like I was in the woods all the time, riding my bike, doing tricks, all that stuff. Just like that sort of upbringing. My dad was a technician for Xerox, and then my mom was a legal secretary for most of her career. And so, my mom had to commute, like, she commuted to DC for work, and that was with traffic. It was like almost like a 2 hour
oh my
drive or
God.
yeah. So it was like we saw them all the time, but like it was a sacrifice. They worked really hard and stuff to provide for us. And I think I first kind of got into like art. I started playing piano when I was like 5, and my parents just asked, if hey, did I want to do that? Because I was always singing as a little kid, like from
Mhm.
like pretty much since I could talk, and so they kind of noticed that. And my dad's a musician as well. He's a very good. He plays a baritone sax and flute and trombone, so he's really really good. And so got the musical stuff from him, and so they just kind of asked if I wanted to do that, and then nurtured it, and then they actually got me into acting when I was probably like 7 or 8, I think.
Wow.
And I got an agent, and they also just saw that. I think they saw that I liked, what I was seeing on TV or whatever, and they're like, "Would you want to do this?" And so I did that. So I had like I was outside playing all the time, but then I was also like practicing my piano and like working on auditions and stuff. So it was very like very creative and like centered around the arts, like which was really really cool. I'm very grateful for that. So
Yeah, I didn't know that about your dad playing saxophone. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, that's pretty cool that they had, those like other careers, like kind of I guess like non-creative field careers, but then your
yeah,
dad was into music and so that
yep.
kind of rolled onto you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like when he was younger, he was playing in bands at like when he was like since he was like 12 or something, like in like older bands. He was like traveling around with like, seniors in high school and stuff. And he's a good singer too. So it's really cool to have that. So my parents just always really appreciated art, and so they were never like, oh, don't waste your time on this. They were like, go do that. Even well into adulthood, when I was doing like more academic things, they were always very, supportive of that. And they'd be like, how was the show this weekend? So I was lucky.
Man, that's so cool. I mean, any parents listening to this right now, like, please nurture your children's just like talent and whatever they gravitate towards to into the arts, because it's just
Yes.
I mean, it's so important. We have to have creators and creative people in this world, you know?
Yes,
So,
agreed.
yeah. So, okay. So you got involved with playing the piano and acting at a very young age.
Mhm.
Do you remember the moment that you were like, I really want to do this? Like, was it a school play or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think honestly, Sierra, it was, I remember, I think it was probably like I had seen like maybe Prince or, something on like a
Ah,
concert, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, it's like back in like in those times, like they would sometimes air like concerts on TV, which is,
Mhm.
it's kind of like doesn't happen now, but like you would tune in and be like, oh, Prince is playing at some things tonight and do that. And so I think it was like that, and I remember seeing it. But then I remember like immediately after, just like sitting down at the piano and trying to like start. I was probably like, you know 8 or 9 or something, and I was like, I'm gonna try to write my own song. So I do remember that vividly, like being at the piano trying to write stuff. But I remember like the spark was like seeing like a Prince, or I love Sade, still do. So like I
Oh,
think
yes.
it was like, one of those two, and I was like, this is awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Oh my gosh. To have that as like a first moment or memory, like Prince is
Yeah.
just like the ultimate
Yep.
template, you know, like
Yep.
it
Yep. For
doesn't get any
sure.
better than him. And Michael Jackson, I know that there's some MJ fans probably
Yeah.
watching, no diss on MJ, but love me some Prince. Prince is, yeah, the man for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
And you have siblings too, right?
Yep. So I have three, and my youngest sister Ariel, who she
Mhm.
does the same thing. She actually went to Berklee College of Music. She's like a phenomenal musician and actor as well. So she's like a great singer. So, and she does acting as well. She's terrific at all those things. And the two kind of like, she's the youngest, I'm the oldest, so we both do that. And then my middle siblings, I have another sister and a brother. They're actually also are very artistic. Like my brother's like a really good visual artist, but he doesn't really, really kind of like dabble in it that much. But my sister actually went to Parsons for fashion design, so she's like a really good, she's into fashion design and stuff. So
Can you hook me and your sister up, please?
yeah,
Like, I need to
I
I need
gotcha.
to up my fashion game, man.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So like definitely creative siblings and stuff, but my Ariel and myself are like acting and music, so.
I love that. And I do, I know that you two have collaborated in the past, which,
Mhm.
I know sometimes siblings, you can have like your little sibling rivalry and stuff, but like with that, I just think that that's so cool.
Yeah.
When did you guys really start doing any type of collaborations together?
I would say probably like 3 or 4 years ago, I would say something around there. Like we do, like we would definitely do live shows where like I would play guitar and she would sing, or we would both sing,
Mhm.
Um and that was actually probably happening like probably like 10 years ago. Like I remember being in a band and be like, I'm gonna pull my sister up, and she would sing with us and stuff. But like her and I as a duo and stuff, like in the last 5 years, and then like actually like recording things, like last 3 or 4. But this industry is so hard. So with my sister and I, like I just want to, if there's a way I can elevate and help her, I'm gonna do that. Like I want to see all my friends and family live out their dreams, so no rivalry whatsoever, like I just want her to be happy and feel fulfilled. And so um I wouldn't, not really by nature, I'm a Cancer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. No, I love that. I mean, it's important, to share that and for people to hear that too, because
Yeah.
yeah, you want to be able to support, your just help to nurture other people's talent and especially
Hmm.
their family.
Right, right. I mean, it's so hard to catch a break in this industry. So it's, if there's a way that, like I said, I can provide some more visibility, I'll do it.
Yeah. And speaking of that, at the time that we're recording this podcast right now, we are in a writers and actors strike. And, hopefully by time this airs, the strikes will be over, deals will
Yeah.
be, everything will be negotiated and everyone's happy.
Yes.
But, I'm
I hope
just
so.
curious, what's your take on all of this right now, and how have you been directly impacted?
Yeah, so I mean, the everything is slowed. All the auditions and everything have slowed down. So it's really tough. I am non-union currently, like I'm SAG eligible.
Okay.
Um, but like I really I stand with all the the writers and the actors. Like this work doesn't happen, and I feel like media, television, all those things, it's such a huge part of people's lives. And honestly, that's where I talk about this in like all the work that I do. But like what we get from the media often shapes our perspectives, like heavily shapes our perspectives. So it's important. And I also feel like art really does drive social change. Look at the civil rights movement and all that stuff. And feel like I've had a spark that's been lit, it's because I've like seen something. I've watched the James Baldwin thing or Nina
Yeah.
Simone or listened to Sam Cooke or something like that. And so I just think art is a vital and important part of our lives. Like we don't. It just allows us to be human, I think, and feel and do all these things. And so without the creatives, without the writers, without the actors, it doesn't happen. So I think those people are the ones making this beautiful output, and so they need to be honored and paid and respected. So I so that's my take on it. It's a shame that we're here, because there there are definitely people making tons and tons of money, and
Yeah,
they're not the ones on the front lines doing it, unfortunately. So
I know.
I think there's always, in America, there's all these disparities with economics and stuff. And so a few people are extremely wealthy, and many people are struggling and stuff. And that could be redistributed, I feel like, and level the playing field. But
For sure. I mean, it's been one of the things. I mean, everybody's talking about it, obviously, but one of the things that you said about representation, and how any type of depiction of anyone in the media, can really help to, I don't know, elevate communities or also
Mhm.
like destroy communities.
Yes,
And so this
yes.
whole idea of, AI is, and I'm trying to be a realist on top of all of it too. It's like, I don't feel like AI is going to go anywhere anytime soon,
Mhm.
because it's growing so fast and everybody's getting access to it. But I do think that we are, dangerous games start getting played when we're talking about ownership of other people's images and
Mhm.
bodies, and then, compensating someone for one day's work and then using their image and likeness
Mhm.
for forever, in
Yep,
perpetuity,
for sure.
and for someone like you, who is a big advocate for people with, special needs or, disabilities.
Mhm.
It's like, man, I mean, why are we even talking about taking, like taking these liberties to
Right,
like scan people and, create
right,
characters off of them,
right,
it's
right. Exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And there, I don't think I still don't believe that, like, you can't replicate, human humanness, like
Yeah.
no matter how hard you try with technology, like obviously there are some things that you can get close and all that stuff, but they're just the human element. It just, I don't think it can be, replicated. So, in addition to all the things that you said, there's that too. So,
Yeah, just an interesting time. I mean, definitely I'm
yeah.
paying close attention to all of this right now.
Yep.
And, I would really just encourage people, even if you're not in the business, to just really
Yeah.
pay attention to it because,
Right.
if it affects our business, in massive ways, then that can trickle out to every other industry
Right.
that can,
Right.
quote unquote, like replace humans. And so
Exactly.
it's just
Right. Yeah.
like, I just think everyone, not to fear monger and scare people, but I
For
do think
sure.
that people need to just be aware of what's going on
Yeah.
and, just support this fight.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with you, Sierra. And I think, we're just in the, like, it's just a time of like shifts, like I think in different areas, but like we're just going through these periods where it's like huge huge change in like, you know, we've seen it the last few years and stuff. So it's just, yeah, I think it's just one of those times, unfortunately, where a lot of stuff is at stake and everything's kind of coming to a head. And, but I'm also hopeful that like during this time, I do think good things are going to come out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hopeful about that, from a social perspective, I do really feel like many people are on the right side of things, and they're really pushing for it. And I think, I think it's going to happen. So I'm hopeful about that.
Yeah, and thank you for saying that, because I do think, again, it's like not to fear monger, but I think that we can sit in this like anxiety and fear of
Yeah.
everything, but it's just like at the end of the day, I believe in humanity, and
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
that like people are gonna come to their senses, people are going to come to a
Yeah.
fair judgment and fair agreements,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
just feel like at the end of the day, things are going to really work out and everything's
Right.
going to be all good. And it's just that right now it's like the veil has been lifted. And so there's so much emotion around all of that,
Right.
and it's just
Right.
like
For sure. Yeah.
on both sides,
Right.
like I'm
Right.
sure the studios didn't want the public to know like what they were what they were
Right.
trying to do behind doors, and and
Exactly. Right.
writers and actors are like, wait, what? Like this is what
Yep.
you think of us,
Yeah.
So there's a lot of emotions right now, and I just
Right.
feel like we have to, any change, you have to go through those different phases and periods,
Hmm.
and then
Hmm.
it's like, okay, all right, let's cool heads will prevail.
Right.
Let's come to the drawing board because
Right.
we want to make this machine keep working, but work
Exactly.
in the best way possible. And
Yep. I agree.
so yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
all right, we'll get off of the soapbox
No,
on all of it.
this is the time we're living in. We have to talk about it, so.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, I just want to, turn the mic back on to you, and just hear a little bit more about your journey. I mean, so from Maryland, did you go to college as well?
Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
did. I actually went like I went to college in DC. I went to Georgetown.
Oh, okay.
I also have a law degree from Georgetown. I don't practice, but
Wait,
did
did I know this?
I don't know. I
What?
don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
Hello? Wait. Okay, back up, park the car. What is going on? A law degree
Yeah.
at Georgetown? Excuse me?
Yeah, so my journey in undergrad. So you touched on this earlier. So I have a physical disability. It's called spinal muscular atrophy type 3, SMA for short. And so I'm really involved in disability representation and kind of all things from a acting perspective and a musical perspective. Pretty much however I can represent, like my existence is the representation, and so however I can, whenever there's an opportunity to present on camera for whatever it might be, I'm going to represent that, like I'll have my cane or whatever it might be. Sometimes I use a wheelchair at airports. I use scooters for long distances. So anyway, I can kind of show that because as we talked about earlier, perceptions are shaped often from what we see in media. And I think it's really important to show disability, in the right way, or show being black in the right way, or, being gay, or, trans, whatever it is, you need to be authentic, I think, because it's just
Yeah.
really, really important. And so when I went to undergrad at Georgetown, our campus Georgetown's built on a hill. So, I'm ambulatory, but like it was a lot of walking and like a lot of going up hills and stuff. And then I also encountered like drunk college students like breaking elevators on the weekends. And
Oh my
so at
God.
the time I could use stairs, but it's a lot of effort for me. And some of
Mhm.
those stairs are like they're massive, so
Yeah.
I faced a lot of kind of like barriers with like getting to class and just being burned out physically. And so I was very, very, I was very unhappy with it. And so that kind of in my mind, I was like, you know what, I need to like do something about this. And so that actually prompted me to go to law school because I wanted to do like disability rights and
Wow.
advocacy and all that stuff. And so when I got to law school, in undergrad, I was doing musical performances and plays, and all that stuff. Like, it was definitely cultivating my artistic side. And so when I got to law school, I was in a band at the time, and so my band kind of like started touring around, and we were doing pretty well, kind of in the DC like East Coast scene. And so I actually started like from the microphone talking about disability, right? It's like I fell down on stage a couple of times and used that to tell the crowd, hey, I'm disabled. Here's what and it was people really, people really were receptive and like positive about it. And so I was like, I think I can do this disability work, through art, and I was always kind of thinking it would have to be through, through like legislation or, whatever it might be. And so pretty much like from like my second year of law school, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna practice. I'm just gonna like this is fun doing the music stuff. And so so that's kind of like how I really landed, hard on the side of like art and doing the representation that way.
Wow, that's really cool though. I mean,
Yeah.
and you can still like always go back to
Yeah,
law
yeah,
if
for
you
sure.
wanted to. I mean, you know.
Right. I can review contracts and stuff. Like I know what's going on, and I have lots of friends that still practice, but I still have like a really solid grasp on it, So, and I've done jobs, after like in legal fields, you know what I mean? So like I've always exercised that muscle,
I mean, I'm just like in awe right now. You kind of got me a little speechless because I had no idea. I didn't know
Thank
that.
you.
But I think
Thank
that's so dope. And it also, again, I mean, the reason why I'm building this platform is to just let people know that like you don't have to be just one thing in this business,
Right. Yeah.
or just because you're a doctor or a lawyer or a nurse or whatever, like you
Right.
can't, like, that doesn't mean that you can't still create music or paint or, you know what I mean? And I think that I do feel like social media is changing a lot of that,
Yeah.
breaking people's like stereotypes of, you're supposed to do
Mhm.
one thing. But I think that it's just important that people understand that you can be multifaceted and,
Yes.
have these like a law background and say, okay, you know what, I don't want to practice, but I have that, back in my background and I
Right.
can still do my art. And then all of this stuff still kind of encompasses each other,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
supports each other. So I
Yeah,
think that's pretty
exactly.
cool.
I was gonna say that like all of those things help me. They all help the other thing. Like my legal background for sure helps me with artistic things. Like it allows me to like kind of execute things in like a very methodical way sometimes, which is really cool. Like I feel like it helps me kind of like bridge any gaps and create like a chain to get from the beginning to the end, so it's really cool. And then the art with and then the art on the legal side, like it helps me be really really creative, like if I'm crafting an argument or looking for something or a way around something, like the art, it's like my brain goes into that mode and I'm like, oh, so it all really just helps me like as a whole person, but they feed off each other.
Yeah, you're making me think about I have a good friend of mine. She's a creative writer
Mhm.
and but she just passed her bar exam. And
Oh,
so
nice, that's
she
awesome,
helps me
congrats.
with grants for
Yeah.
my nonprofit. And it's just the way she writes, the way that she helps me craft the story that I'm trying to tell, about the nonprofit
Yep.
and pitching the programs and stuff. It's just so beautiful. And I'm like,
Yep.
this is so cool. You know what I mean? Like how
Yeah.
she's able to do that. So
Yes.
everything, I mean, I just feel like creativity is just, it's in all,
Yeah.
places, and so,
Exactly. Yeah, and for the legal like writing that like your friends, we're taught to do that, so it is super, super helpful, so
yeah, man, that's so cool. I mean, I actually, I know you don't practice, but I would just love to see you just like in court one day being like, you can't handle the truth, like,
you never know, Sierra. It could happen, so
yeah, yeah. Who knows? But one day, maybe you'll be on a TV series
I
doing.
would, I would, I would, I would love that. I'm a huge fan of like Law and Order and all those shows.
Yes, me
So like
too.
Columbo, like that would be like a dream.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna manifest that for you. Let's just put that out
All
there.
right, let's do it. Let's
Yeah.
do it. I want
Hire
you.
Ian.
I want you on there too.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. I'll be in there. I'll be on the legal team on your team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll be like, yeah. We'll alternate first and second chair, so we're good.
Yeah. See, I don't even know what all of that. Okay. Yeah, you really know this stuff. All right. Cool. I know who to call next time now. Cool. Cool. Okay, so you went to law school at Georgetown,
Yep.
and then after that, after graduation, what was life like? How
Yeah.
was that transition for you out of school and into the real world?
Yeah, I graduated when it was during the recession. So it was
Yeah.
like legal jobs were extremely scarce. It was really competitive. So it was hard. Like it was really hard to find anything. So I essentially like kind of gig worked and just took on like temporary legal stuff wherever I could, remotely filled in. I was doing something for a firm in California and things like that. So it was really, really hard. But throughout that time, because there was not like a steady, 9 to 5, that actually allowed me to do music more. So I actually started like playing as a solo artist and like gigging that way.
Nice.
And I created an album, a solo album. And so that like that time just really kind of helped me solidify more into the music stuff. And then I started to actually I started getting back into acting again during that time too. So it was a hard time, like, financially, but it also was a really good time because it allowed me to really like focus on the creative stuff. And that also just really taught me like my goals in life and what I wanted to do. And so I started to kind of ease into the disability advocacy like during that period too. So it was rough, like I said, from like a monetary perspective, but then creative side, it was like actually really, 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 really good for me, and so I got to kind of really learn about who I was as a person and what I liked and create, and that's what I'm all about. So looking back, I'm very thankful for that time.
Yeah, I remember that time. I graduated from college during that time too.
Yep.
And I just remember our school, I went to a performing arts school. And so we had a showcase out here in Los Angeles. And so we got to
Okay.
meet with like different casting directors and managers and agents. And I just remember one of the casting directors I met with, he was like, listen, we're in a recession and there's a writer strike going on right now.
Yep.
He was like, now's not the time to move to LA. Like,
Yep.
try to do whatever else you can during this time and come to LA when LA calls you. And so
Yeah.
I was like, wow, well, thanks for your honesty. But man,
Right.
I was like,
Yeah.
what a great time.
Right.
Like yeah. And so I moved to New York and, just kind of hit
Yeah.
the pavement, stayed there for about 2.5 years and then I came out here. So
Love it.
yeah. When
You
did
made it work. You pivoted, like you made it work because you've been extremely successful. And so like, it's kind of like we're in a strike again, you know what I mean? So it's almost like these times happen, but if you shift and kind of can adapt, and then it'll come back around. Like it's a good thing to have that skill to be able to read the room and be like, all right, I'm gonna take this other path, and look where you've ended up. So I think that's really cool
well,
that's your story.
thank you, man. I mean, and same to you too. I mean, I think that is a big superpower of just creatives in general, like
Yeah.
really learning how to adapt in
Right.
all times, every time. And sometimes creatively, you have to be flexible, like on the spot,
Yes.
And so,
Yes.
and so I don't know. I mean, I'm just wondering as we're talking, I mean, do you have any specific techniques that you use or any type of just things in the back of your mind that are just like there in moments like this, times like this, or just when you have to do things on the fly, or is it just you're just that way
Yeah.
that you don't have to
Um,
do anything like that? So,
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Sarah. Thank you. Honestly, it honestly I think personally, it relates to living in an inaccessible world with a disability and like having to navigate that. Like there's no way that I'm gonna ever not be disabled or like overcome it. And that's one of the things like in the disability community that we talk about. Like society is always like overcome and that and like that's how you have your value. And it's a really bad mindset to have and to put on people
mhm.
because we're going to be disabled, and so you need to just accept us for who we are. Our existence is beautiful. Love us for all for being here. But living in an inaccessible world where there were so many things, like I told you about, like getting to class on campus and elevators broken. Like I've always had to really be at the ready, and just my brain has always like I'm always in a mode, at least when I'm just kind of navigating the world of like I am trying to survive and get from point A to point B. So my brain's always like, how am I going to do this if this thing happens? And I've had lots of situations where I've had to, alternate and be like, oh, this thing's not here, or I have to like, I encountered something I didn't expect and it's like physically blocking me, or I'm gonna have to do whatever. So I've just always been in that mode, and it just kind of came with experience and practice. And so I honestly adapt that mindset to like everything creative, whatever it might be. So I don't really lose my cool with it. I just kind of pause and I'm like, okay, here's the situation. Like, I don't know that, there's stairs here. I can't use stairs. How am I going to get into this entrance? And so I'll be like, oh, take a moment and I'll figure out, oh, there's like a back way with like maybe it's a small hill. I can do it that way, or, whatever. And then I've also, I also ask people for help. I'm not afraid to do that, but
Nice.
I really do have to be just in life always kind of thinking about some other way to execute, if plan A doesn't work out. So creatively, I do that. I've had lots of instances on stage where I'm like, oh, this thing is not accessible or whatever, and I have to do, whatever. Or even on a set, like I'll have
Yeah.
to talk to the director and be like, hey, I need some help with this or whatever. Can we do it this way? And I'll just be kind of thinking, so.
Nice. No, thank you for sharing that for sure. Because you know, it's just making me think about, people who aren't familiar with any of like how to, people aren't thinking about accessibility.
Right, yeah,
And I'm not saying people in general because I'm sure there are. I mean, I'm thinking about my own upbringing too because my
yeah.
dad is disabled.
Oh, okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, he has epilepsy and he
Okay.
also had an incident when he was younger, so it like paralyzed the left side of his
Oh,
body. And
yeah.
I think just growing up with that, I, just learned to be very patient and
Right,
also just as accommodating as possible.
right.
Especially when he would have a seizure and like,
Yeah,
know how to like clear things out the way so he wouldn't land
right.
on his head, stuff like
Yeah,
that. Or
yeah.
just knowing like, hey, he can't use the left side of his body. So like,
Right.
like don't try to like throw a ball or something at. You know what I mean?
Right,
It's just
right.
like,
Yes, you got to be in tune to that. Like,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. I totally get that.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so I don't know, I just voiced that to just say, and even for people watching, like it's so I'm glad that you're being such an advocate and being, a face as well because a lot of just a lot of awareness hasn't been there. And I know that as
Right,
the entertainment business has shifted and changed, people want to bring representation, in all facets, but
right.
they just don't really know what that is or how to really do that sometimes. And,
Right.
I just want to know a little bit more from your perspective. I mean, I shared that for me, eh, growing up with my dad, patience was just one of the things that I learned, and also like just try to accommodate. But what are some things that you would say, just kind of like the general public, should kind of have in their backpack in terms of like how to be an advocate?
Yeah. I think, first listen to the community that's affected by it. Like you're not going to know better than as a non-disabled person, you're not going to know better than a disabled person. Like, I think the lived experience of disability brings so much to the table. Like, with acting and stuff, we are always pushing for like authentic casting, like,
Yeah.
having a non-disabled actor play a role because a disabled actor already knows all those things. Like they already have had everything. They don't need to sit there and figure out, oh, is what would I do? What would it be like to do this with a disability? Because they already do that with a disability. So I think that's really important. I think just like there is like some fear around disability for people who are non-disabled. Like they don't like to say the word disability, and they're like, oh, I don't want to ask this and
Yeah.
do whatever. But I think like getting rid of that fear and just being like, we're human beings too. There's no difference between a disabled person and a non-disabled person. We're the same. We're the same. We're humans. We live we have the same experiences in life and whatever else. And so like getting around that and just being open and like having a conversation. And if someone corrects you or says, hey, I think you're doing this the wrong way. Let me suggest doing it this way. Like, don't take offense to that. Like
Yeah.
you have to just like be just willing to hear it and then learn and like do it. So I think those are like the really really big things. And then the accessibility thing. There's still many places in this world where the accessibility is lacking, and so work to do that. Like we're not liabilities, you know, we bring so much to the table. I have so many disabled friends, and every one of them is like extremely talented, extremely intelligent, you know, just like the coolest, funniest, awesome people. They're dating, they have romantic lives, they're married, they have children. So like they're doing all the things that non-disabled people do because again, they're human beings. But it's like, bring them into, hire them for roles, hire them as, in your corporations. Like it makes things so much better. Like more perspectives is always a good thing. It's never a bad thing. Like good things are gonna happen. Your organization will grow. Your production's gonna be better. So I think just doing that, like talk to us and learn and all those things. Like I stopped being so closed off and like afraid and and there is also like ableism too, and discrimination in that world. Like
Yeah.
obviously definitely don't do that, but
Yeah. For sure.
you
Oh,
know
yeah. But
but from that perspective of like of people who aren't like actively engaging in ableism, like we want to talk to you and like interact with you, like that's what life's about. So of
yeah, thank you for sharing that. I just think
course,
that so many people just need to have that awareness.
of course, yeah,
Not even like in their backpack, like I said, but just in like in their
yeah,
forefront. It's
right,
just like we're all put on this planet, and
right,
it's just like I don't know, no one's better than the next, and
right.
so it's just hey, be aware, be kind, be compassionate, and be open to listen. You
Right.
know, so
Yeah, and also too, Sierra, like on that point too, like disability, like it's like I think it's 1 in 4 people in the U.S. are disabled, so it's a very good sizable chunk of the population. But
yeah,
also, most people in life are going to become disabled at some point, whether it's temporarily or permanently through either disability, or like old age or whatever. So it's like most of us are going to be disabled. So I feel like you better start getting used to it now and like engaging with the community because you're going to be a part of that community 9 times out of 10.
yeah,
So, you know what I mean? I don't really know many people who were not or are, who haven't encountered it. So
yeah, so true.
it's very prevalent. Like you said, disability, in my opinion, it's like, it's just a part of life. It's neither good nor bad. It just is with so many other things in life. So, of
So true. So true. Thank you for sharing that.
course.
So spot on. So, I want to know about your journey to LA and what that was like, your
Yeah.
first year in LA, and if you have
Yeah.
any crazy stories to tell, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like people have crazy LA stories. Like, I'm just curious. Maybe you don't, but just,
Yeah, no, so my journey was, I actually came to San Diego first for like the first 4 years. This was 2015, and actually like a job brought me to there, but like I'd always wanted to be in LA. Actually, when I applied to law school, I got into a couple schools in LA, but Georgetown happened to be like the better choice. So I delayed coming to LA with that. So I ended up going to San Diego and then was doing music out there. And then I actually picked up my agent like the third year I was in San Diego. So I was actually doing stuff from San Diego and like kind of commuting up. And then I moved to LA in 2019 when for another job, but like I started getting more auditions and all that stuff. And so another job was the vehicle to bring me up here. But one of my first like cool acting jobs in San Diego, like I think it was the first, yeah, like it was within like a few months of being here. I ended up getting like a role on like a Mariah Carey does like this like little Christmas like sketch thing.
oh my God,
Yeah,
stop.
it is.
What?
Yeah. And it was through like Funny or Die, I think. But I go up there and really didn't know like who was in the sketch or anything. But I get there and like I was doing a scene with like Nick Swartzen and I was like that was really really cool like right out the gate. And as you know, like I mean I have so many dry spells where nothing happened, like no
Yeah.
auditions, no bookings. But it was just really cool because it was like like that was kind of rare because it was like the first few months here and I was like I just did a thing in Nick Swartzen. He was like super cool. Like I'm a big
Oh,
fan of
crazy.
his. So that was awesome, So that was like one of the first things, and then also I got to work with you on my music
Ah, yeah.
video. and at the end of 2016, and that was awesome because you're a terrific
Oh
actor,
my
and
gosh.
so that was so those two things were like fairly early on, which was like really really cool. So yeah, so those are I would say are my crazy or like really cool awesome stories. So
Yeah, no, and I had a wonderful time working on your music video. And to this day,
thanks.
I still think you're just one of the most talented people,
Thank
talented
you so
musicians
much.
I've ever met. And
Thank
so
you so
it
much.
was
And
such an honor to be a part of that. So
thank
thank
you so much, Sarah. And the feelings mutual. Like, you're extremely talented. So I was like through the roof to be able to work with you, and so I'm really glad. So it was an honor right back, and thank you. You made that music video really really special and really cool, and it's like always gonna be that way for me. So thank you.
Yay, thank you. Thank you. Now,
Yeah.
you mentioned just and every creative person is familiar with this. I know I am, but those kind of down times in between gigs, I
Yeah.
just activated my camera's mobility. So please, I have to do
Cool.
this and it will stop. Okay, great. I don't even know how far away it has me now. Okay. Anyway, but during those in between times, how do you handle those times? Like, what are the things that you do? And I'm just curious too. You know, we we talk a lot about creativity, but I'm just wondering also, like, in monetary senses too. Like,
Mhm.
what do you do in those in between times?
Yeah. Good question, Sierra. Yeah, and I know that we all experience that
Oh
stuff. So
yes, yes, yes,
um,
yes.
it's hard because like I just said this to someone the other day, like art is subjective, so like one person might feel a way about like your audition or your music or whatever it might be, and then be like, man, I love this is great, and then the next person be like, I don't like this, and so it's like it always feels like a, even though we all say it's not a reflection of yourself, don't let it be, it always feels like a reflection of yourself because you're the person doing it, you're the person in the room, doing the audition or making the music or whatever. So it always feels that way. But it's so I think that's just kind of like inherent. But
Yeah.
I think to kind of like keep the focus and like kind of like stay positive and not let it completely demoralize you and destroy you. Like I think about like all the times that like I do think about when people have said nice things about my work or whatever, and I'm like, well, there are people out there who like it, thankfully, and so that's nice, even just one person. I also will always believe in my work, in like, I will always believe in it and be, and it'll mean a lot to me. So that also helps me get through because, like, if I don't believe in myself and think what I'm doing is worthwhile, like no one else will. So I'm gonna
Oh, true.
hold on to that. I also too just like I call my mom a lot and vent to her. So
Yeah.
thanks, mom. Sorry, because
Yeah.
I have my days with that. Because like I'm always like getting on hold for an acting thing, like, or like first option, and then people never let me know that I didn't get it. So I'm like on hold,
Yeah.
waiting for the wire, and I'm like, so that happens a lot. But then I also too, Sierra, like I also just like I've like you, we put in the work, right? We're always training and doing whatever. Like I do this day in and day out just as you do. So I also, in the back of my mind, there's this little voice that's always like, you've done the work, you've prepared, like you have had, these things happen. Like, how in the end can it not like happen? Because I've taken all the steps to like ensure that I'm prepared and do these things. So like in the end, how can the outcome not be, positive or what I want it to be? It just might take a very, very long time to get there, and it's still taking a really long time. Like I still have lots of goals that I want to achieve, and like where I'm doing this, at the level that I want to do it. But if we do all those things to prepare and like all that, like then just how can it not happen? It just might take a really long time. So I think of it that way. And I went to law school. Law school is not easy. It's really, really hard. So, I've been through grueling things. And so I feel like I have like the experience and the stamina to like do this in this other grueling industry. You know what I mean? Like I have the preparation of like, I've been through a lot of tough things. So I feel like I have like the skin, my skin is the appropriate level of thickness for this.
Yeah, yeah. No, I relate, man. I mean, you definitely, it's a daily practice, I would say, to just really stay in that positive mind
Mhm.
space, just with all of it, and keep that hope,
Yeah,
because it's just when those moments, when you get those breakthrough moments, you're like, ah, okay, this is what all of that crap was for,
yeah, yes,
and it's, from my perspective, I mean, I've had a lot of just, this type of roller coaster of it all.
yeah,
It's like really fun, successful moments, and then it's like, okay, when's the next job,
right, right, right.
But like you said, it's like we've put in all this work. People are watching, people
Hmm.
are aware, and it's just like, I think when you're just keep doing the work, keep your head down, and something's going to happen,
Yes,
It's just
I'm a
all of the
firm
people that we
believer.
look up to and admire, and you read these biographies or these, like, interviews like this and stuff. It's
Right,
like, oh man, they kept going. They
right,
stuck
right,
at it, and
right.
it's just like, and we're still enjoying their music. We're enjoying
Yeah,
seeing them on TV, and how can you not be inspired by that to keep going,
exactly.
you know?
Yes, I agree, Sierra. And like even with you, like I think people when as you were talking, I was thinking like people don't see all of the downside, or those times, whatever. But like I remember, like I would see like stuff you were doing, and I was like, man, Sierra's on a roll. Like she's got like all these projects coming out. You know what I mean? And I was like, that is amazing. But then, now you're saying to us like, hey, there were times like
Ugh.
even in those windows, I'm sure where I was like, she's like doing everything, so busy all the time, like booked out for forever. And there were times where you're probably like, it feels like a lull or like I don't have that, So I think that's like really cool because people don't see all those things. But then like to me, like I said, I was like, Sierra's rocking right now. So,
Yeah. Well,
you
thank
know,
you. And I will say that I'm very, very grateful for those moments, and getting those bookings and having things
yeah,
like seemingly come back to back. But yeah, I mean, there were, oh my gosh, I mean, so many times, and
yeah,
then it's like you
yeah,
get that booking and you're excited about it.
yeah,
But as what we're seeing right now with the strike and stuff, the pay transparency, it's like
right,
there were moments that I was like, how am I going to pay rent? But I'm on
right,
ABC right now. You know what I
right,
mean? It's just
right,
like,
right,
so, it's not to say that I'm not fortunate. Like I've been
right,
very, very blessed and fortunate to book the work that I have over the years. But,
right,
who was I telling this to recently? I don't know who I was talking to, but I just remember saying, like, man, I've been in this for 17 years,
right, right,
and those first really like 8 to 10 years were like rough,
right,
and then
right,
it's
yep,
like, oh wow, not okay, cool, I get a guest star on this show. Oh
yep,
cool, now I get a top of show guest star. Oh cool,
yep,
now I'm like a recurring co-star, and it's
yeah,
just like, and people see that and it's like, oh, she's arrived, and it's like, man, no, I've been grinding this thing out for a really
yeah,
long time,
right,
so
right.
yeah.
Yeah, like, it's I remember someone saying like sometimes it looks like overnight success, but that is like
Mhm.
not typically the case. It's so rare. It can be decades of grind, and then you know what I mean. So, and like you said, 8 to 10. So totally understand that. But like you said, you also have to. I really do agree with you when you said like you just have to. You got to stick in it for a long time sometimes, and like do it, and that's where you see the opportunities come. And I've experienced that, like with all those things, you know what I mean. There are lots of times where I was like, oh man, like music, like this is just, it's hard, should I whatever, and then stayed in it, and cool things happen, and so I totally agree with you. Like you have to stay in it long enough to see the opportunities, so.
For sure, for sure. Now, are you working on anything right now? Are you building, developing anything over there right now?
Yeah, so actually, Sarah, we so on the music side, so I actually have two songs coming out in within like days of each other. I have a song coming out on my birthday on Friday, July 21st.
Yay!
And it's actually being distributed by The Orchard. It's through actually an organization that they work with disabled musicians called the Daniels Music Foundation, and they have like a label. And so really excited about that to have that distribution. So it's a song called Nighttime. So that's coming out on Friday. And then on July 25th, I partnered with a couple of other disabled musicians, one being a blind singer and instrumentalist named Lachi. Lachi has like a really good following, and also a singer and violinist named Galen Lee, who has osteogenesis imperfecta. And Galen's been on like the Tiny Desk, NPR. She's actually she scored a Broadway play last year, and she's working on a play right now.
Oh, wow.
She has worked with like Alicia Keys and done a bunch of cool stuff. She's actually the New York Grammy Board governor, and she actually provided accessibility at the Grammys the last 2 years. And so
Wow.
Lachi founded an organization called Ramped, which is recording artists and music professionals with disabilities. And so me, Lachi, and Galen have a song coming out on Tuesday that's actually going to premiere on MTV.com. And it's called Lift Me Up. And it's a tribute to the late Judy Heumann, who Judy Heumann was one of the biggest figures in the disability rights movement. She was heavily featured in the documentary called Crip Camp, which the Obamas produced, and it was Oscar nominated in 2020.
Wow.
So Judy was like central figure in that. So Judy she was actually instrumental in getting the Rehabilitation Act passed, which later became, the basis for the ADA. So Judy's like a giant in the community. We lost her in March. She was a mentor and friend to myself and Lachi. And so
Wow.
Lift Me Up premieres on July 25th. So there's actually like a ton of promo and like buzz about that one right now. So really, really cool. And Judy actually is having a movie made about her life. The director, Sean Heder, who did Coda, directed
Oh,
Coda, is
yeah. Oh, that's such a good movie. Yeah.
yeah, is doing Judy's movie. So yeah, so two
Wow.
of those song releases, and then I just got word I'm on hold for a commercial on that also shoots on Tuesday. So
Yes,
as I
please.
said, that, hopefully, Sierra, I hope that happens. So yeah, I'm just like auditioning and stuff and doing that. I also did a play about disability last summer, and a stage reading, and they just got funding for the play that will be premiering in 2024. So I'm really hopeful that I will be, brought back in my previous role. So hopefully, so yeah, like I'm just working, Sierra, like that. I'm doing all this music and acting stuff like full time. So it's just kind of, doing that. And I do like public speaking stuff as well.
Nice.
So I have some, gigs coming up for that, like at the end of the year. But right now it's just these releases and auditioning and booking whatever roles I can. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah. And you mentioned tiny desk, and so I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm gonna be at your tiny desk one day. Like, I just
I
already
hope
know. Like,
so,
I
Sierra. I
want
hope
to
so.
be there in the house.
I
Like,
hope so. I hope so. I hope so. So like, I'm just I'm trying to do it like Usher. Usher had a phenomenal Tiny
he had a
Desk.
great one. And also, well,
Was
I just
good.
watched the one with Juvenile, which, I'm from
Oh yeah,
Cleveland. So
yes.
that right
That
there,
was, I heard that was phenomenal.
I was like, that's my bucket list. I have to
Yep.
go to an NPR Tiny Desk concert
Yes.
one of these
Yes.
days. And so,
Yes, I love that. The Julie one's on my list. I had friends text me and they're like, they're also from New Orleans, like the Julie one's great. So
yeah.
I love all those things. Snow Allegra's one was
Oh
great.
yeah, hers is good.
Yeah, Division's one was
Alicia
great. Like
Keys, that was my
Alicia
favorite. I
Keys.
played that one a lot, and then Charlie Wilson and
Oh yes.
Anthony Hamilton. I played his like
Oh, Anthony's was
every
fun,
day for
also
like a
great.
month straight. Like I was like,
Yes.
that's my favorite. So
Anthony's is fire. Wale had a good one.
oh, I didn't see Wale's. I got to see that one.
Miguel, I'll
Oh
stop, but like
yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
big fan, so
All right, so James Ian, yeah, yeah, you'll be.
I hope so, Sierra. I hope
You
so.
will, you will. We're gonna speak that, man. You guys, you have heard it here first. Like it's gonna happen. You're gonna be watching James Ian on
Thank you
NPR's
so
Tiny
much.
Desk, like one of
Thank
these
you. And
days.
also too, Sierra, just on the disability representation, because we have Lift Me Up. I also did a song called Spaces, that was also about disability representation. It was created by members of my specific disability community, SMA, but it was for the larger disability and non-disabled community. And that song actually has been super successful. I got to sing at the closing ceremony of the Special Olympics for it, and
Nice.
bunch of really cool stuff. It has like I think almost 1 million views across various platforms. But Spaces is another cool one. And I was the primary songwriter and singer on that. So just while we're on the topic, throw that out there for my music stuff. So
Yes. Well, I'll have links to everything that you mentioned down
awesome.
below. And so everybody will be able to find all of those
Cool.
awesome releases. So,
Thank you.
so yeah. But we have just a few more minutes left. And
Yeah.
what I want to do is just segue a little bit. So basically, what I've been doing is having people ask questions for the next guest
Okay.
to answer. And so I'm going to have you answer this question from the previous guest, and then you're going to
Cool.
also ask a question for
I
the
love
next
that.
guest.
That's
So,
amazing. I
so
love that.
yeah.
That's such a cool concept. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's do
Look, I have stolen it from someone else, so I can't say
it.
that it's
All good. I think
but you
I've
know,
not seen it before, so it's cool.
yeah. But I love it. I think it's really cool. Some
Yeah.
really cool questions have come up. So,
Awesome. All
so
right.
so this is your question. I can't say who it's from,
Okay.
but your question is, who are you and what is your why? And has your why changed over the years? It's a very deep question.
That is.
I was like,
And
okay.
multi-pronged too. So
Yeah, yeah.
so who am I? I think I am just I'm an artist. That's what I say, but I think I'm just a person that really likes to connect with people. Like I really do believe that the meaning of life is like forming relationships, and having experience with people. And so I think at my core, anything that I'm doing, it's always trying to establish a connection with the person and learn about them and and facilitate sharing of stories and experiences and stuff. So I think that's who I am. I'm just a person that likes to connect, and I think no matter what I'm doing, that's kind of the ultimate goal. My why is really to represent the disability community in an honest way and share all of the beauty within our community. And that why has I discovered that I think I discovered it probably like in probably like college or law school when I really started to do like more music and acting and stuff, and like I really found out that like I could really have an impact, I would say, with disability representation through that. But I think I didn't know exactly what it looked like, and as time goes on, I think you kind of refine that and it gets a little bit more clear. But so that's my why. I think it has changed because I think when I was younger, I didn't know I was disabled. For one, like my diagnosis didn't come until I was almost 15, so I didn't know that I was disabled. So I think my why did change. I always wanted to be a creator and like do music and stuff, as I said, and act and all those things. But I think it was more of like a just creating art for just the sake of creating art. I think that was the why for me. Just I just wanted to create and get it out there. But
Mhm.
that shifted once I had my diagnosis and once I started to like develop my artistry. Then it became like, oh, disability representation and doing that. So it definitely shifted. But I 100% there's never a doubt in my mind as to what I think I'm supposed to be doing while I'm here. So
Nice. Oh, I love that. That's so just like beautiful, you know?
thank
I
you.
mean, I don't have my answer yet. I'm like in terms of like the whys and the who you are, I just feel like
Yeah,
for me it's always changing and evolving. And so to
yeah.
hear you speak so eloquently is like so inspiring.
Thank you.
So, I need to get
Thank you
back to the
so-
drawing board on my
I
stuff. So,
appreciate that. Thank you.
yes. Now, what would your question be for the next guest?
My question would be, did you ever see yourself being where you are now as a child, or when you were dreaming? Did you ever envision this is the place that you would be, or would you be doing what you're doing? Like, yeah, as a child, did you ever see yourself being where you are now?
I love it. All right. I can't wait to ask that to the next guest. That's going to be so good. So good.
Awesome,
And I'll
awesome.
I'll definitely share with you when this is all ready to go, who
Yeah.
answered your question and who asked your question. So
Awesome. I love that, Ciera. That's super cool. Love it. So thank you.
yeah. Well, James, this has been so wonderful. I'm just like, I'm over the moon. Anytime I get to connect with you and just hear from you is just awesome. And so this is, again, this is no different. So
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much, Ciera. It's an honor to be on the podcast. You are such a wonderful person in my life, and I'm so glad that we've remained friends and stayed connected. And I'm just really happy for all the success you've had. You're extremely talented. So I love to see that happen to good people. So just
Sure.
thankful for you, and thank you for having me. And I'm so glad we get to be friends. It's really cool.
Definitely. Same here. So, where can people find you and find out more and follow your journey?
Yeah, so I'm just on Instagram is the best place to do that, and it's at James Ian Music. All no spaces, no underscores, at James Ian Music, and on Spotify, my artist name is James Ian. So
Nice. All right. I'm going to drop all that information in the comment box below. And James, you have a wonderful day. Thank you so
you
much for
too,
stopping
Sarah.
by the
Thank you.
In Tribe. I so appreciate it. And can't wait to talk to you again and see you soon. So yeah.
You seems you had a great time. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, please keep inspiring people, keep thriving, and we'll be in touch soon. So,
You do the same. Thank you.
all right. Take care.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Oh my gosh, wasn't that incredible? He's just one of the most sweetest people ever, but super, super talented. And you already know what's up. Please go visit those links down below, check him out, follow his journey. And yeah, it's going to be an awesome ride. You're going to see a lot of stuff coming out from James Ian. All right. But listen, if you want some more content like this, you already know what to do. Head on over to theintribe.com. We have articles, more podcast interviews, and of course, courses, shop items, and the membership. So please head over there, and I cannot wait to see you there. But until then, continue to stay inspired, keep thriving, and know that I love you. All right. Take care. Bye.